A brave reporter just confronted Donald Trump straight to his face and left him absolutely stunned. On camera, she got him to admit that he doesn't actually care about violence against Democrats, and that he only cares when it happens against him. Trump completely mocked the tensions dividing America, showing just how shameless and self-centered he really is. So stick around to see this reporter's stunning exchange with Trump, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Now, Donald Trump is already having a bad week, as conservatives are furious at him for skipping the memorial service for Charlie Kirk's funeral. Seriously, after spending all of last week declaring his heartbreak about Charlie Kirk's death, he didn't even go to the service on Sunday. Instead, he spent the entire day golfing at his New Jersey club, because of course he did. Now, even though the leader of MAGA didn't bother showing up, there was still plenty of crazy to go around. Carrie Lake, in particular, is getting a lot of attention for turning the memorial into a rally against universities. She literally claims that universities are brainwashing America's youth into becoming extremists.
At one moment, that 22-year-old who shot Charlie was a baby in his mother's arms. And by all accounts, those parents did a good job raising him until he was sent off to be brainwashed. We have lived through the most horrific brainwashing campaign in the history of mankind. And the very fact that we're all here means we have somehow survived it. We've survived it. But too many youngsters are not surviving it. And we got to stand up. Because some things are non-negotiable. Our children's minds and futures are non-negotiable.
After days of campaigning about supposed violent left-wing rhetoric, Republicans turned Charlie Kirk's memorial into one giant rally of hate, once again proving that they are guilty of everything that they accuse the left of doing. And even more insulting than ruining the memorial service, Republicans are already using Charlie Kirk as a poster child for their cause. Donald Trump and Kristi Noem have been receiving backlash for making social media advertisements using images of Charlie Kirk. One video in particular uses the death of him to advertise the work of the Department of Homeland Security and to encourage people to join up.
This is Micah Bach, Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. This week at Utah Valley University, a gunman consumed by evil and hatred assassinated Charlie Kirk. Many of us at DHS, including myself, knew Charlie personally. Charlie Kirk was the heartbeat of a movement. At just 31 years old, his earnest faith and love for America touched the soul of everyone who knew him, including my own.
Now, this advertisement starts off relatively normal, but this tribute to Kirk abruptly turns into a commercial all about how cool Kristi Noem thinks she is. It even has action hero music playing just to try to make her look cool. How embarrassing is that?
This week, Secretary Noem carried our mission abroad, joining ministers from the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand at the 2025 Five-Country Ministerial in London. Together, we are forging stronger alliances to crush illegal immigration, dismantle transnational criminal organizations, and share intelligence to protect our homelands.
Charlie Kirk's former friends are now using him for sympathy points to help recruit people to work for the DHS. I always knew Republicans were pretty shameless, but Charlie Kirk hasn't even been buried yet. This proves that Republicans will use what happened last week to promote their agenda for months to come, as their violent rhetoric only continues to heat up. Donald Trump himself has claimed that the left is causing the division in this country, and that violence is only coming from liberal Americans. And this is just straight up not true, and one Democrat even called out Trump for it today. At a press conference earlier, J.B. Pritzker called out Trump for using this moment to sow division instead of bringing people together. He seriously says that Trump needs to stop the rhetoric and focus on people and prayers. Just take a look at this.
What would you like to hear from the Oval Office in this current political climate? You talked a little bit about, where you're at and both sides of the camp down. What would you like to hear from the president in this one?
Well, I think you heard some of it in my own remarks. And so I would like to hear the President of the United States, instead of pointing fingers, simply say that political violence has no place in this country, and that the President does not condone it. And the targeting of one group or another group by the President of the United States, as he did on Friday, is completely inappropriate. And I would hope that on his mind would be peace and calm and prayers instead of finger pointing and criticism.
J.B. Pritzker is absolutely right in saying that Donald Trump and Republicans need to stop using America's rising political violence for their own gain. But unfortunately, Donald Trump and Republicans don't seem to care. In fact, MAGA House Speaker Mike Johnson was just called out by a CNN reporter today for saying that he doesn't necessarily condemn violence when it happens to Democrats.
And there's also a lot of debate and discussion about President Trump's own handling of all these issues of political violence, these episodes that have happened increasingly over the last several years. I asked Johnson if Trump should also condemn what's happened to Democratic politicians and violence that's happened on the right flank, not just on the left flank. He would not go that far. He said he had no issue, no fault for Donald Trump at all.
This is insane. Mike Johnson doesn't think that Donald Trump needs to stand up against violence against Democrats. He's supposed to represent us all, not just his own party. But in one more stunning admission today, Trump was actually exposed by a reporter in the Oval Office for not caring at all about attacks on the left. You see, Republicans may pretend to have forgotten, but we all remember how earlier this year, a MAGA extremist attacked and killed Melissa Hortman. Hortman was a Democratic lawmaker in the Minnesota state government and had previously served as the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the state. This was the highest-ranking political assassination in years, and Donald Trump, the President of the United States, refused to go to the funeral. But you know who did go to the funeral? Joe Biden, who every day reminds us how an actual respectable president should act. Now, just this afternoon, the Melissa Hortman story was revived when a reporter asked Trump why he ordered the American flag to be lowered at half-mast for Charlie Kirk, but not for Representative Hortman. And his answer shows you just how little he cares about the rise of political violence in this country. First, he has to be reminded of who Hortman was, twice, because he didn't even remember. And afterwards, he says that he didn't lower the flags for the Democrat lawmaker's death because he doesn't think that anyone asked him to.
Mr. President, I want Charlie Kirk, in retrospect, given all of the moving ways that this White House has paid tribute to Charlie Kirk,
right.
Do you think it would have been fitting to lower the flags to half-staff when Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was gunned down by an assassin as well?
I'm not familiar.
The Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, I would have done that. But the governor of Minnesota didn't ask me. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would have if somebody had asked me. People make requests for the lowering of flag, and oftentimes you have to say no because it would be a lot of lowering. The flag would never be up. Had the governor of Minnesota asked me to do that, I would have done that gladly.
Donald Trump says that he didn't show respect when Democrats died because no one asked him to. Not only is that a terrible excuse, but he was also invited to the funeral and refused to go. And I wonder what his excuse for that was. Donald Trump has spent the past week making the political divide in this country worse than ever, and it was simply because he does not care about the repercussions. When a Republican gets hurt, he will use it as a rallying cry, and when a Democrat gets hurt, he will forget their name in 2 months. Leave your thoughts on Trump's statements today down in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more.